Well, round 4 of the Euroformula Open Championship takes us to Budapest. We welcome you all here to Hungaroring once more as played or taken pride in place on the Euroformula Open calendar ever since 2014 and the championship's inception. Artur János becoming a race winner around this track, as did Alex Palou by chance as well for Campos Racing. Since then, we've seen the likes of Felipe Drugovich grace this very circuit in this series, as well as the likes of Yifei, who went on to win in 2020, aligned with the likes of Cameron Dass and also Jack Crawford, who raced here in the past, Oliver Goethe back in 2022, including International GT Open candidate Christian Mansell, who went on to win race 3 at this very track back in 22 as well. And of course, in recent years, it witnessed the likes of Timet Kaharczyk now racing in Indy Next, winning here in race 1 last season. But we're now here with a new grid of 12 drivers, and of course, some returning, some totally brand new, including ones that are very new indeed. The likes of Marcello Hahn, that's Marcello Hahn Jr., by the way, who arrives in from Brazilian F4 in a bid to land his first start in the Euroformula Open Championship. But let's talk about those championship protagonists, shall we? Rui Hengye currently leads the way on 179 points, 65 ahead of Diego Della Torre at this stage. Though whilst, of course, Rui Hengye was on quite the unassailable run since the start of the season at Portimao, things started to swerve and change at Misano as we head into the Adriatic, with Jesse Carrasquedo taking back-to-back race wins in races 2 and 3, also the fastest lap in race 3 as well. Though Javier Herrera, the young 16-year-old, the former rookie champion in the Formula 4 Central European Zone, would knock on the door of success and land his first victory after taking pole position for that particular race too. Well, he's just taken his second pole as well of the season, and if anything is like last time to go by, he could yet claim his second win of the season. But it's all to play for. The sun is beaming down, the track's heating up, and I'm sure tempers will as well. George Morgan here in the commentary box. Alongside me once again, it's Chris Stevens.
Hello, George, and yep, 17 laps of racing to come here in the first race of the weekend for the Euroformula Open Championship. Javier Herrera and Everett Stack, that man right there in the blue and black Team Motorpark car on the front row of the grid. It's another battle of BVM Racing and Team Motorpark, and BVM with 2 cars inside the top 3 on this starting grid, with Alessandro Famolaro, who we saw sharing a emotional minute's silence, marking the victims of the Venezuela earthquakes in recent days, just before the start of the GT Open grid, sharing that moment with various members of the GT Sport organisation, and now getting ready to race here in this encounter, lining up 3rd on the grid. And I'm sure the drivers on the left-hand side of the grid will be very thankful for the shade being provided by the grandstand at the moment.
Yeah, well, we now take a look at our pole sitter from this morning, Javier Herrera, the young Mexican who, as I said, rookie champion in the F4 Central European Zone last season, also finished 3rd in the championship as a whole. Everett Stack will join him on the front row. Many would have expected this man to certainly lead the way in terms of a title charge. Hasn't necessarily turned out that way, but the Virginian with every opportunity now starting on the front row of the grid. Alessandro Famolaro, we mentioned the minute silence, of course, that was observed, followed by the Venezuelan national anthem, and indeed on the livery for Famolaro, he has got a bit of paintwork that shows off the shape of the country of Venezuela on the side, obviously supporting his fellow countrymen and women that are back at home. We have got Rui Hengye starting on the second row as well in P4, your championship leader coming into the weekend, who went on a trio of victories back at Spa. He had 2 at Portimao, 5 against his name, but no wins actually at Misano. Jesse Carrasquedo was the one who took victory, though, back-to-back in races 2 and 3 at Misano in the Adriatic. So had a lot of fun back there. Be hoping that he can return to the top step again this time around. Diego Della Torre showing a lot of pace in free practice, and in fact second in the championship, but yet to take a race victory. It has just been sheer consistency for the Mexican.
And that should show you how breezy it is out there. That umbrella going absolutely flying. Well done to whoever managed to catch that one. But yeah, quite a few gusts out there, and Della Torre will be the one who starts on reverse grid pole for race 3 tomorrow afternoon, having qualified in 6th position. Victor Dobransky there, we can just see conversing with his engineer.
Actually had a good run in FP2, did Victor Dobransky, taking the fastest time in that one. Divi Nandan also for BVM Racing, starting from 9th on the grid. Well, should I say 8th on the grid, but on the same row, sharing it with Marcello Han, who comes in for his first weekend of Euroformula Open Racing. A special weekend as well. He watched his brother Christian Hahn back in 2017 to 2019 taking multiple podiums in this championship, and he just got the opportunity to watch his father racing in the International GT Open as well for Blau Motorsport.
Winning in the AM category.
And winning in the AM category, absolutely.
So it could be a good day for the Hans if Cello were to come away with a good result here. He's already done a good job by putting it 9th on the grid in his first qualifying session. He drove the car for the first day on Thursday, so really doesn't have any experience in that car, and ahead of people who've been here for the full season, so he's doing a good job there.
Yeah, Aaron Farazano for Neri Autosport down at the back of the grid as well. This new team that are trying to understand a little bit more about the Dara 324 chassis, and they are obviously growing stronger and stronger with new knowledge every weekend. We hope to see them flourishing as well in the not too distant future as we now pan across with the drone shots taking us through the front end of the grid. That was Javier Herrera on the right, Everett Stack in the blue livery on the left, and then Alessandro Famolaro, and he'll be hoping that he can race strong for the Venezuelan people back at home. And then we have Rui Hengye in 4th. It's going to be a blistering start.
It's nice to have 4 distinct liveries at the front of the field for once. Normally we're trying to pick apart the wing mirror colours and helmet colours and things like that. But yeah, 4 distinct colour schemes at the head of the field. Herrera, the youngest driver in the field, starting at the front.
Well, let's take you back to the Adriatic. We went racing at Misano. It was Javier Herrera, though, quickest off the line. Diego Della Torre got a very poor start, and as did, I think, Victor Dobransky as well, not getting a very comfortable start either. We witnessed them come through nose to tail as they then made their way in towards the hairpin bend. And indeed, at the inside, Lorenzo Castillo was going full defensive. Alessandro Famolaro on the attack of Everett Stack as well through the course of the initial race, finding the up and under en route in the final sector. But it was Javier Herrera, the young 16-year-old, managing to charge to his first win in the Euroformula, his first of the season. They got underway for race 2, and it was Everett Stack with a poor start on this occasion. He wasn't alone either, because Famolaro also became unstuck at the start of the race. Very, very strong start, though, for the Motor Park cars, with Lorenzo Castillo operating in 2nd. He was on a charge, though, to move himself up a further spot, getting past Victor Dobransky en route to leading the race, and then being closed up upon by Javier Herrera once again. You can't discount, though, the likes of Jesse Carrasquedo, who actually stormed to the front and took victory himself, the checkered flag, the trophy in hand. We then went racing for race 3, and Carrasquedo right at the very front of the order, continuing, and got a very, very good launch. Further back, Everett Stack was also on a charge as well, with Diego Della Torre at the inside, getting a better start than he did inside race 2. Of course, Everett Stack would apply the punishment and eventually break past the Mexican, with further back Famolaro on the attack. We would also witness Rui Hengye, though, managing to dodge past Divi Nandan to try and levy himself further forward. Javier Herrera came unstuck as well, of course, trying to brush against the likes of Rui Hengye. But again, it was Carrasquedo. Back-to-back wins at the Adriatic, gifting him another trophy for his cabinet. This is how the championship now looks coming into round 4 at Hungaroring. Rui Hengye still on top by 65 points ahead of Diego Della Torre. Everett Stack in 3rd place, with Jesse Carrasquedo now coming into his best form, with Famolaro down in 5th. The stars starting to converge. Well, it's nearly time to go racing for the first time here at Budapest this weekend, folks. We're starting to enter into the halfway stage of the season. So temperatures could start to, let's say, increase. Javier Herrera starts on pole position for the 2nd time this season. Everett Stack will join him on the front row for Team Motor Park. 2nd row is Alessandro Famolaro in 3rd, ahead of Rui Hengye, championship leader, starting on the 2nd row alongside the Venezuelan in 4th. 5th place for Jesse Carrasquedo, bidding to make it 3 in a row. He starts alongside Diego Della Torre, still chasing his first win of the season, despite being 2nd in the championship. 7th for Victor Dobransky, who was fastest in FP2, ahead of Divi Nandan of BVM Racing, who's looking for an improved weekend after Misano. We then head down to P9, where Marcello Hahn joins us for his very first Euroformula weekend, bidding to follow in the footsteps of brother Christian and, of course, his father, Marcello Hahn. Jan Koller lines up alongside him, though, trained by Roman Stanek in 10th place. Lorenzo Castillo in 11th. Will line up alongside Neri Autosport's Aaron Farrazano, representing Belgium, and he'll be in 12th, starting from the back of the grid. Well, the car's now out on track, looking to get some temperature into the tyres. A big test for all drivers concerned, especially given the heat of the temperatures out there, Chris. We mentioned this, and we'll continuously mention it here and now. It's a massive factor, especially here at Budapest. We've seen them skyrocket, and especially when you factor in the equipment, the engines, everything else, very clear the drivers are going to perspire.
It's hot. It's hot out. Let's just get that out of the way. It is hot.
Highest dead track on the calendar as well.
Quite possibly, yes. Especially with these temperatures as well. Track temperatures way above 50 degrees at this point. These Pirellis are going to be going through an awful lot, and so managing those tyres is going to be a significant factor. So much energy going through the rear tyres in particular, because we have so many low-speed corners and lateral traction zones as well. So the left-hand side tyres in particular take a bit of a hammering around here, and nobody has fresh sets for all three races because qualifying is so important here. So they're going to have to be nursing those, not just across this race, but across the weekend as well. You can already see the pickup there as Everett Stack went through the final corner, how much he was getting pickup on the front right. There, it's cleared up a little bit now, but as he put a barrel load of lock in, the surface of the tyre, that you can see a really good example of it right there as he puts in a load of lock, trying to put some energy into the front tyres.
Absolutely right. Everett Stack, of course, on the front row, bidding for a better result. Of course, didn't have a bad time at Misano. Of course, it was back-to-back fourth places, a runner-up spot in the final race of the weekend. Still yet to actually taste victory, though, this season. Second has been his best. As we now take a look inside the BVM garage, they're going to be hoping that Javier Herrera can go from lights to flag. And with it being Hungaroring, there's a very good chance that could be the case. As we now await for the drivers to kick things off. There is Kai Degenhardt, of course, from the Motor Park team. Raul Hyman, of course, on the end as well, a former pole sitter at this track when he was racing, of course, back in the day for Campos Racing in 2017. As now the engine starts to rise. All five lights are lit. And they will go out. It's pedal to the metal, and it's go! Go, 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 go! Everett Stack got a better start than Javier Herrera on that occasion, therefore has the inside line in this wheel-to-wheel between the BVM and the Motor Park driver. Further back, Rui Hengyer also getting a great start there, three abreast. Going through turn one, Herrera has well and truly lost out here and dropped down through the order. Everett Stack now in the lead. Everett Stack in front. He has got the line as well against Rui Hengyer on the run down through towards turn two. Javier Herrera back at the inside of Diego de la Torre, and through he goes back into third place after sacrificing the lead and fourth, and round goes Jan Koller.
I was watching the start out of the window, and it just seemed like a bad reaction time for Javier Herrera. He just did not go anywhere while everyone else was already dumping the clutches and putting their right foot down. So awful start for the pole sitter. He goes down to third position, and it is Everett Stack, who started on the front row of the grid, who manages to fend off Rui Hengyer in the first few corners there. Green flag's now waving at turn two, so Jan Koller has been able to get going, but some 12 seconds behind the pack now. That new helmet not bringing him so much luck so far this weekend. See Marcello Hahn towards the rear of the field as well in 11th position, but we're right on board with Herrera as he chases after the championship leader, now entering the final sector on this first lap, and Rui Hengyer was wide there into turn 12.
Very inviting for the Mexican, Javier Herrera, who I must say is probably likely kicking himself after the start there, because of course you can't do it at Hungaroring. It's not the place to do it. You can't afford to forfeit lead advantages or opportunities at grasping a race lead, especially from pole position, because of course it is so tricky to overtake around this circuit. But there's a lot you can do with the Dallara 324 chassis. It has been magnificent. Of course, it's prior gen as well, excellent at the same time. Here comes Famolaro back on the attack. Divi Nandan getting a brilliant start to his race. Fourth place for Divi Nandan as we now see them come nose to tail once more. A car going out wide. I think that was Diego de la Torre once again. No, car in front of him, and that is, as we now watch them make their way down through. That's Rui Hengyer, who's actually dropped down through the field in free fall, and that means Javier Herrera into second place. That was bizarre.
I looked away for half a second. So Herrera up into second place.
He made a mistake coming through turn one, clearly, because he disappeared from view, and I thought, well, it must be Diego Della Torre, but then as soon as the motorpark car came back through, there was no green on the wingtips, and it was indeed the 21. Rui Hengye, a colossal mistake. And that's not the first we've seen already in this very infant start of this one. Oh, Nandan in the grass. And now Famolaro is given a vote of confidence as they come through out of the middle sector. The Venezuelan powering on through around the outside. And now thunders in to fourth spot.
Hopefully we're going to replay what happened at turn one there, but that means Herrera's got clean air between himself and Everett Stack. 2.5 seconds between them as Della Torre with a dive on the inside here on Divi Nandan going into turn 12. And Nandan ends up facing some of the gravel, as does Jesse Carrasquillo there as well, who's got 2 wheels in the gravel on the exit of turn 12. So both of those cars coming off worse. And Nandan's still not done yet because he's got Victor Dobransky to his inside now through the final corner. The youngster goes through and Nandan going very, very wide. And where's he fallen down to now? 10th position for the driver who, a lap ago, we were just saying what a great job he was doing in 4th place.
I've got to give Cello Han his flowers, because very often when we get a new driver that steps in, the carbon clutch is something you need to adapt to. Well, he's managed to get off the line, and he's with the front runners. So good start.
Whoa, Herrera,
Cello Han.
Herrera very sideways going into turn 2.
Yeah.
He lost a load of time there doing that. He's well wide.
And he can't afford to let anything slip here because, of course, the gap is 2.5 seconds to Everett Stack, who is enjoying free reign. And in fact, Chris, he's gone purple inside the first sector.
Wow, he just lost 0.8 of a second with that in one sector. Goodness me. So that mistake there for Javier Herrera costing him very, very dearly indeed. The gap now 3.3 as they came through the first timing split on this lap.
Yeah, into the chicane they go, through turn 6 and 7. There's Castillo. He's just trying to hold on here. Of course, there's 2 motorpod cars with yellow wingtips. The brighter set are Carrasquillo's, just to say.
Normally they put one on the halo as well for Carrasquillo, but they haven't done that this weekend. So I need to go and have a word with Timo Rumpfkeil and get him to put it back on.
Well, just note that the luminous ones are Carrasquillo, pretty much, because they are distinctly brighter than the yellow tips on Castillo's car.
I think Carrasquillo's got one on the engine cover as well, potentially. But yes, the sort of luminescent one. Don't adjust your picture set, but the brighter ones there are Carrasquillo.
Yeah, there's Castillo now coming through the final corner, still with Dobransky for company. Let's take a look at the start again. It was a really poor getaway for Javier Herrera. He was jumped upon. Brilliant start behind from Rui Hengye. Of course, his issues would come into play on the run out of turn 1. Of course, Stack got a brilliant launch, didn't he? Managed to defend that lead spot away from Rui Hengye. Javier Herrera was basically fodder for the cars behind, eventually getting caught by the likes of Diego Della Torre until Della Torre ran wide of the mark. So Herrera was able to regather himself over third. Jan Koller, unfortunately, spinning off, and the frustration on show from the motor park garage is now Herrera with a late dive. My God, and contact as well.
Oh, so that's what happened.
That's what happened to Rui Hengye. That's why he went off at turn 1. So there was contact, front left to side pod. No question the stewards have got to get involved in that.
Absolutely, and probably damage to both cars, I would suspect, as well. So that's why Herrera is probably a bit sideways. I will say Rui Hengye is doing a great job to hang on to 3rd place at the moment and to be lapping as quick as he is, because he had a PVM car in the side of him, basically. Now look at this, George. Cello Han, the rookie, challenging our most recent race winner. Double race winner, in fact, from Misano.
And the thing is, what you've got to remember with this young man, he's never raced at Hungaroring before.
He's never driven this car.
He's never driven this car before. So all his experience here around this circuit is on the sim.
Never raced in Europe.
Yeah.
He's only raced in Brazil.
In Brazil, yeah. Oh my goodness, is that him now? As they make their way through, I'm not quite sure. Is it Divi Nandan? No, it is Cello Han.
We need to
stop.
stop.
Wide of the mark. We've just cursed him, ultimately.
We need to stop praising BVM drivers. That's twice now in this race.
Goodness me, Cello Han, but nevertheless, impressive to see him flexing his muscles in terms of his talent. Of course, still only a young man making his way out of Brazilian F4 and now into F3 machinery for the first time. There is Rui Hengye, fresh after the incident at turn 1 earlier on in the race.
And that incident is under investigation, George.
I've got a feeling I know which way it's going, Chris, to be honest.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they need a committee meeting about it.
No. Well, we run on board with Everett Stack, who can enjoy the clean air. 4 seconds separate he and Javier Herrera right now. Of course, the rookie driver, who also leads the rookie championship, still in second place. The time is continuing to spread out. Even so, Javier Herrera put in a personal best over the last lap, it was still a 10.5 slower than Everett Stack.
Fantastic watching this onboard here of Everett Stack. So much speed through turn 4. Amazing stuff out there. Let's see if we can just spy anything on the front. The front wing is still very intact.
I think it was more front left wheel, to be honest with you, than front wing.
I wonder if it's maybe slightly askew, perhaps, as a result of that contact, but there's nothing wrong with his pace at the moment. It's not like Rui Hengye's all over the back of him.
But equally, does Rui Hengye have something afflicting him? Well, he was on the receiving end of that one.
Again, Familaro's not all over the pair of them either. So he's close, don't get me wrong. He's less than 0.7 of a second behind the championship leader at the moment. But there's nothing obviously wrong with those two cars.
Yeah, well, Everett Stack not having an issue. Purple inside the middle sector, just laid down a 136.7, which is incidentally over round 2 to nearly 3/10 clear of Javier Herrera. So we take a look back at what looks to be the Castillo car as it looks to defend against Dobransky.
He was snaking down the start-finish straight, trying to break the toe for Victor Dobransky there.
Well, Giuseppe Bizzotti, just to say, folks, update on the investigation. Team managers for car 3 to report to race control immediately. So BVM being called to action from the race stewards.
If that doesn't tell you whose fault they already think it is,
well, I mean, I'd say it's pretty conclusive, Chris, based on what we saw from the replay.
But I always find it interesting. They're not calling both team managers up there. They're only calling Herrera's team manager up there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what they determine. But, of course, Herrera making contact with Rui Hengye, therefore seeing spill off to the side. And Rui Hengye hasn't really lost too much pace, so the dust has just been flicked up from the chicane. That is Carrasquillo, who has ventured probably into the dust more already in this race than he would have liked, as the Blau-sponsored BVM car of Cello Han bids to close up on his teammate Divi Nandan. And this is an opportunity for Han to really sort of, embed himself into Euroformula, because, of course, whilst he did qualify earlier on today, he's taken part in free practice. Race trim is an entirely different beast. So ideally, finding his feet in this first race will give him a good platform for races 2 and 3.
He's going to be learning all about these tyres as well. He's going to be learning about how they're interacting with the surface, how the car reacts, how the car fades over the course of a race as well. You can do all the testing in the world, but nothing compensates for good old-fashioned racing. Because I'll tell you, now he's learning what the car is like in dirty air as well, which you will very rarely discover in testing.
Well, and especially in the likes of qualifying, because you're just looking to get yourself clean air, you know, primarily. You're not looking to work in the dirty air. Two very different things.
Yeah, if you're qualifying in dirty air, you're doing something very wrong indeed.
Precisely. You shouldn't even be comprehending the idea of dirty air in qualifying. But PB is now being lit up here from Javier Herrera, Rui Hengye. Clearly no problem with those cars, but it's a purple first sector for Alessandro Familaro, who has uncovered some extra pace and is now within 9/10, nearly 8/10 away from Rui Hengye now over that third spot. So is in touching distance of a potential podium, and he might get it if Herrera gets a penalty.
Yeah, true, because he's only, 2.2 behind Herrera at the moment. On lap 7 of 17. Battle for 6th position, making its way through turns 10 and 11 now on the short blast towards turn 12. Castillo ahead of Dobransky, ahead of Carrasquillo, whose pace just seems to have gone missing, hasn't he, really? Not where I expected to see Carrasquillo this weekend, who, was like, for the first few races, was threatening pace and threatening to win races, and finally got the monkey off his back in Misano, and is not quite taking off in the way I expected.
Yeah. Well, Everett Stack taking off right now, obviously in the midst of Herrera and Rui Hengye coming together. Ever since then, it's been all Stack who managed to just continue on after getting that really strong start and essentially getting a good start, whereas Javier Herrera didn't. For the fact that he managed to pull that off has just allowed him to continue on, nearly 5 seconds in front now. That
replay at the start was really quite telling, wasn't it? It was a solid half a second between when Stack went and when Herrera went. To the point I even questioned if it was a jump start from Stack, but everyone else seemed to go at the same time as well. So I'm sure they'll be looking at that in the garage.
I mean, Divi Nandan had a great start too. I say he was 4th place at one particular point, which was mightily impressive from the BVM driver, who's currently being held honest by Cello Han at the moment, coming through the chicane. Obviously, Marcello Han losing out earlier on after his little venture into the gravel, and now looking in the mirrors of Divi Nandan, who, bear in mind, has quite a significant number of races ahead of him in this. We've had an update concerning the Javier Herrera incident, folks. 5-second time penalty to be added to the race time for causing a collision in turn 1. That was the incident between Herrera and Rui Hengye, so it will be a penalty for Javier Herrera, which does, by extension, give Famularo that podium as we speak right now.
Yes, with the gap as it is, 2.8 seconds between those two BVM Racing teammates, Rui Hengye in between them. As we see the other two BVM cars consistently running 4 cars now as BVM Racing. They have 3 regular drivers, 1 rotational car. I'm sure they would like to have a permanent 4th driver, but this is a nice substitute in the meantime, and it's quite nice getting various drivers in experiencing this car, and we're getting a good showing here from Cello Han, who seems to be on a decent pace straight out of the block, as we've had the change for 7th position, haven't we? Because Jesse Carrasquillo has got past Victor Dobransky and usurped his motorpark teammate, and now it's the 2 yellow-winged cars that are lying astern. Fantastic!
Well, which is the brighter of the bunch? You take your pick. Obviously, at this point, it's Jesse Carrasquillo, who is now in with an opportunity to pounce on Castillo here. Lorenzo Castillo, who's long held this P6 position, whilst, of course, Dobransky couldn't find the answer. Well, maybe Carrasquillo's the one to deliver it. Twice a race winner last time out. Obviously not in a position to do the same this time and make it 3 in a row, but nonetheless, points mean prizes at the end of every season, whilst he's still got work to do to close up to the tally that Rui Hengye has managed to muster. Remember, coming into this weekend, 65 the gap between Rui Hengye and Diego Della Torre, as the 2 BBMs now lock nose to tail, coming down into the right-hander.
Very wide moment for Divi Nandan coming out of turn 11. I thought for a moment that was going to give Cello Han a run into turn 12, but the Brazilian not quite having enough momentum to usurp his slightly more experienced teammate, but that was a rough and tumble ride over the curbing on the outside for the 9th placed Nandan. Well, and again, Castillo going defensive here into turn 1.
And I think he could come off second best here, Chris, because late on the brakes comes Carrasquillo, running outside, and he's going to try and carry the speed. That is absolutely stunning from S.A. Carrasquillo. Brilliant move, the long way round, where it doesn't often work. And I'm guessing if you're Lorenzo Carrasquillo, having the inside, he must have thought he was going to come out on top on that one, but somehow, round the outside went Carrasquillo, feathering that throttle, a twist of the wheel, and now he's into P6.
And this is not just a battle for 6th position and 8 championship points, it's a battle for reverse grid pole
for
tomorrow.
Race 2. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we've got 2 reverse grid races to bring you tomorrow, folks. We do have, of course, reverse race from this race tomorrow to kick off race 2, and then race 3 will be the reverse top 6 of the qualifying session from this morning, and which will actually provide Diego Della Torre with a good platform to start from pole, and he's obviously in search for his first race win of the season still, so maybe tomorrow's his day.
Carrasquillo starting on the front row with him, and if history were to repeat itself,
well,
could
back
be
to back.
The second place car getting the launch as well, and yeah, that's exactly what he did. He won from 2nd and from 1st in Misano last time out as well, so maybe Carrasquillo knows something we don't. No. And to be honest, he probably does. There's a lot we don't know.
Yeah, no, that's correct. I mean, none of us would have anticipated what happened at the start would indeed happen.
But at least I know there's a lot I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is it. I mean, we can quite confidently say we don't know something about something. So, I mean, that's confirmed. Rui Hengye, fastest lap of the race. So nothing wrong with the car. Purple inside the first sector, 1:36.507. So. Currently on a charge, 1.3 behind Herrera at this stage. Herrera doing enough still to dissuade Rui Hengye, and he was on a personal best over the last lap in that first sector was Javier Herrera, so obviously showing some strong pace himself, but Stack is totally in a world of his own right now, 4.6 seconds. That is somewhat stabilised. I mean, it hasn't quite lifted to 5 seconds. It's been around about the 4.5. to 4.6s for quite a deal of time.
He doesn't need to push the car, does he?
That is true.
He'll have been told, you're building the gap to the car behind you. He's also got 5-second time penalty. So just ease these tyres to the end of the race.
He's going to need it tomorrow. Well, you say he's not pushing the car, but purple in the middle sector may suggest...
Yes, all right, he does immediately prove me wrong. I just said there's a lot I don't know, George.
I hate to do it to you, Chris, but purple in the middle sector for Everett Stack suggests that he is still very much pushing the Dallara 324.
What I do know, though, George, is that Everett Stack has not taken a victory yet so far this year, which is surprising to say in 9 races for a man we thought was one of the favourites going into this season for the title.
Yeah, I did say this at the top of the show because he's only actually captured second places. That is well, 3 times he's done that. In actual fact, he started the season at Portimao finishing second, and we ultimately thought that this may be his year, and you would think so based on the ever-improving performances from last year, of course, where he was very much thrusted into win contention. Of course, he was, as we said, 3 wide involved with Yevon David and Timika Harczyk at Monza as well in that thrilling finale. But, I mean, you know, Everett Stack, he's done that on multiple occasions. It was second place in race 3 at Spa, and he did exactly the same in race 3 at Misano. So he's no stranger to achieving podiums, but a win would be absolutely everything for him at this stage.
Would be his 3rd in the championship, adding to the 2 that he had last year. But yeah, 1st of the season.
And if he gets this, he will move to 2nd in the championship as well, with Diego Della Torre currently down in P5.
And he's just on the fastest lap of the race as well last time around, and did build the gap up to 5 seconds. Now to please your Georgeness.
I'll put my crystal ball away. But yes, Javi Herrera also posting personal bests inside the middle. My guess that obviously he's very much aware that he's got a time penalty to deal with, and I think in his mind he's trying to ensure that he stays on the podium at the very least.
Now it's going to be quite a tall order. What's the gap? 3.8.
He only needs 1 more second, I think.
3.9-ish seconds at the moment between Herrera and Famularo.
It's gone out again. 1.7 now, the gap to Rui Hengye.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on that. He's got 5 more laps to try and do something about that, so he might still sneak a podium finish here, Javier Herrera.
I think he needs a second, just 1 second. I think that's all he needs at the moment, because it's 2.4 between Famularo and Rui Hengye.
Yeah, 4.2 now between them, when they went over the last...
so 8 tenths now, pretty much, is what he needs. So it's still an opportunity here for Herrera to come home with a P3. 5 laps to go. Everett Stack still continuing around the circuit, faster than most, but Herrera was quicker than him inside Sector 1, and indeed, in fact, Rui Hengye was 2 tenths plus quicker than Herrera inside the first sector. Personal best for Carrasquillo as well, a little bit quicker than Diego Della Torre last time out, but is going to need to be significantly quicker if he wants to close down to P5, because the gap between those two is around 4 seconds at the moment. So now Herrera peels through the sequence of rights and lefts, and now this back straight that takes you down through towards turn 12. And into the final sector proper, where you'll meet the hairpin bend. And it's so picturesque. If you're standing at the top of the new hospitality suites, the buildings, the media centre, I've been out on the balcony already, and you can see the entirety of that 3rd sector. It is absolutely stunning.
Do you know the teams in the other sports series are sending their spotters over to those balconies as well, because they have such a good view of the circuit.
You will not get a better view in a final sector than that. We did just see a BVM car just go off the circuit.
I think it was Cello Han.
I think so.
He's still behind Divinan down there.
Yeah, the gap obviously will go out because he forfeited some time. Elsewhere, gaps are closing up between Castillo and further back to Bransky. These two going back at it, though, after Carrasquillo has managed to jump both of them. So now they're going to contest over P7. Bransky having a little look up the inside, was unable to find the answer, but it's going to be wheel-to-wheel now, heading down through towards turn 2. Inside covered off by Castillo, but the switch back on offer here now for Dobransky. How often have we seen this, where up and unders often work in these scenarios? But no, not this time. Forced to remain in behind is Dobransky, and this could very well take us through to the bitter end. You just see there as well, Divinanda being invited into this, and dare I say also, Cello Han not far away.
No DRS, no push to pass, no overtaking aids of any sorts in the Euroformula Open Championship. This is just good old-fashioned racecraft here that these young men are learning. And yep, Divinandan arriving on the scene now behind Dobransky.
Celohan won't be long either at this rate. It's a good chance for him to really cut his teeth in some wheel-to-wheel action. There's approximately 4 laps to go here at Hungaroring. So Dobransky continues to try and push and prod against Castillo, knows that he's got 2 BVM cars that will have no qualms in trying to get past these 2 motor park machines. So now head through towards the final corner out of turn 14 to begin their next lap. 3 laps to go as Stack crosses the line. 5.2 the gap between him and Herrera. That's only going outwards, but it's all about the gap between P2 and P4 right now. As now Castillo once again goes defensive against Dobransky, but Dobransky nowhere near close enough to challenge over that top spot. Now the gap between Herrera, and Famularo, that's now at 2.8, I think at this point. So yeah, it's actually come down massively, and in fact Famularo was posting personal bests, I think very much aware that Herrera was going to work, trying to offer himself a huge opportunity at this podium, and Famularo is responding.
Herrera and were a second slower than Famularo last time round, and nearly a second slower than the race leader.
And bear in mind, Famularo still holds the fastest lap of the race as well. Lap 9 was a 1:36.280, which incidentally Everett Stack holds as well. So they're actually matching to the second. Fastest lap 11, not number 11 as in Famularo, number 9 as in Everett Stack. Do apologise, it was lap 11 for Everett Stack, not lap 9 of Famularo.
It's a very poorly worded message there, I will say. It's almost deliberately misleading, but that Stack with the fastest lap of the race.
But still a 1:36 for Famularo though, so that puts him right on the dance floor with the 1:36 near enough where Everett Stack was posting. So still immensely quick and a second faster than the 2 in front. They're responding though, are Rui Hengier and Javier Herrera, because they've just posted 1:36s of their own, but it was still slower than Famularo, and at this rate Famularo will inherit P3.
I could tell by the way he used that walk that he's got a lot of space, a lot of pace out there, and trying to hang on to this podium spot that he will try and inherit. As it stands, that will be the case, and Herrera will drop to 4th position. Della Torre 5 seconds further back from Famularo, so he's not really in this fight. But the Venezuelan chasing him down, and what would be for another emotional result for Famularo after the minute silence that was held for the victims of the Venezuelan earthquakes. Well, that was, cutting over the chicane.
Yeah, there he is. There he is, and Famularo has actually managed to close up to the back of him rather quickly. So you never know, not only could this be a P3, it could be a P2 here for Famularo.
Depends how much they squabble. They can't lose time to Herrera.
Otherwise, it will give potentially Herrera a P2 with no contest. 2 seconds between Rui Hengier and Herrera right now. The gap, incidentally, between Stack and Herrera has come straight back into 4.6 at the same time. Last lap for Herrera was a 1:36.9. He was, in fact, slower than Stack last time out, but clearly has put the work in against Everett Stack in order to reduce the deficit that was 5 seconds plus. As now we resume our P7 effort between Castillo and Dobransky. Final lap now underway. Everett Stack kicking it off. And now charging down through towards turn 1. Herrera with bigger fish to fry, with Rui Hengier trying to relentlessly defend his podium prospects against Famularo, who's chasing that emotional podium place.
And Everett Stack on course here for his first victory of 2026. He's come close on a few occasions, but finally it seems like he's going to get the monkey off his back, and we are going to have a 5th different winner of this season.
Dare I say, I think you might well be right. Yes, it is. 5th different winner. 5 wins going to Rui Hengier, bear in mind. But the other winners, Carrasquillo, Famularo and Herrera. As we now watch Everett Stack pirouette through out of the middle sector, then into the final. 4.5 between them. And 1.5 separating Rui Hengye and Herrera right now. Famolaro within a second on Rui Hengye. Could be some late drama, you never know, but certainly not for this man, Everett Stack, who, after many races of trying, several second places, 3 of them in total he's taken, knocking on the door of a first win of the season. It may have come a little later than planned, but the Virginian will now come out of turn 14 and will certainly thump the air with his fist, because he's a victor here at Hungaroring. It's Everett Stack who takes his first win of the season for Motor Park. Javier Herrera, despite coming across the line in second, will fall foul to the penalty. Rui Hengye takes second. It's an emotional podium for Famolaro, the heartbeat of a nation bearing on his chest, as we now see the fights happening over P7. Dobransky trying to chip away at Lorenzo Castillo, who will hold on to that 7th spot. Dobransky in 8th. Hahn on his first start, finishing in 9th ahead of Nandan. Ferrazano in 11th, with Collar after that incident at the start, finishing down in 12th. Well, 2 Motor Parks stand tall once again on the top 2 steps of the podium. BVM with Famolaro also representing on spot 3. Finally, it's answered his call. Everett Stack is a race winner here for the first time in the Euroformula this season. Let's take you through the classification. Motor Park back on top, with Everett Stack ahead of Rui Hengye. It's a 1-2 for Motor Park ahead of BVM's Alessandro Famolaro. Javier Herrera, after the penalty, may have finished second on track after starting on pole position. It's 4th place though for him. Diego Della Torre in 5th. Jesse Carrasquedo in 6th, with Lorenzo Castillo 7th. Victor Dobransky in 8th, ahead of Marcello Hahn in 9th, Divi Nandan 10th. Technically, Javier Herrera will be on the podium. He'll be for the rookie win, I think, after this one, but nevertheless would have preferred something on the top 3 placings overall. Aaron Ferrazano down in 11th, ahead of Jan Koller, the man trained by Roman Stanek, unfortunately coming to an unceremonious halt, coming out of turn 1 through turn 2, and had to regather himself. This is how the championship now looks. Rui Hengye now sees the points gap at 65 between himself and Everett Stack. That is 197 meets 132. The gap remaining the same, incidentally, from when we came in to the series this weekend, with Diego Della Torre dropping down behind Everett Stack into 3rd, with Alessandro Famolaro in 4th, ahead of Jesse Carrasquedo. Javier Herrera 6th, Dobransky then in 7th. So the cars will now make their way into Parc Fermé, and the blue livery finally will stand behind the P1 board. And this was something that we anticipated would happen at some point. We kind of expected him to take the bull by the horns at Portimao. Everett Stack, of course, with the prior experience that he has nurtured through the course of last season's campaign. It's taken a little while to taste that victory success, but, you know, it's got to come from somewhere. And it couldn't come, you know, any sooner, really. He needs really a strong second half of the season if he wants to land a blow for the championship title. There's work to be done, but this is the right way to go about it. A victory here for Everett Stack. He'll replace the wheel eventually, lift himself out of the cockpit, stand tall, replace the wheel to the chassis. The Virginian will hop up onto the car, salute his team. A race winner for the first time this season. Kai Degenhardt coming over to congratulate him, as well as the rest of the Motor Park unit. A great result for Stack.
That's the man who took Noel Leon to the championship in 2023. And so no doubting that Everett's been in good company. Of course, Raoul Hyman coaching all the drivers in Team Motor Park as well. A great result there for Everett Stack, who was advised to come to Europe and race by René Rosin, who was then the owner of Prema. Told him that the European scene is where to be at after a difficult year in the Americas in Formula 4 and Formula Regional. That's the 19-year-old Virginian, a winner once again in the Euroformula Open Championship, his 3rd career victory, his 1st of 2026.
Yeah, he'll be absolutely delighted that finally he's got his season off and running awaiting Alfredo Filipponi for an interview. It's running through the top three. Venezuelan sensation, Alessandro Famolaro. His home country, the beating heart in his chest. He will celebrate P3 on the podium ahead of Rui Hengye in second place. The championship leader back in the podium fray, back in the points, but not enough left in him to tackle Everett Stack over the victory here at Hungaroring. He's a winner for the first time this season, and he's with Alfredo Filipponi.
Yeah, Everett Stack at last.
Yeah, I know. Back on number one. It feels great. I mean, you know, last year I had 2 wins, and this year, I mean, yeah, this year we got podium every single race, and now we're back on the top step. So I can't be happy. I'm more than happy.
It's nice to see you here. How was the race?
It was good. I mean, besides the first lap, and then I didn't see anybody until then. It was great, you know. T1, I horse cocked it a bit past Herrera and Enzo, but other than that, I didn't see anybody for the whole race. It was nice management, and then, yeah, fastest lap also helps. So
Now it's a charge back in the championship.
let's see. Who knows? Can be. Yeah.
Well done. Enjoy it.
Well, let's take you through the highlights of race one here at Hungaroring in the Euroformula Open Championship. It was a slow getaway for Javier Herrera that allowed Everett Stack, who got a very good start, to challenge for the lead. It was also a decent start for Rui Hengye, who was also in a fight for the P1 spot. Javier Herrera came under increasing fire, this time against Diego Della Torre, who locked up his tyres coming into turn 2 and went out wide, eventually forfeiting. Jan Koller spinning off as well, but not hitting the barrier. As they made their way through the course of this race, Divi Nandan, who had an impeccable rise, managing to rise into P4, but ventured off into the gravel, allowing Famolaro to swan around the outside to tackle him and take that P4 away from the Indian driver. Later on, though, we saw Carrasquedo, the battle of the yellow wingtips, unleashing, coming through the first corner apex, and it was Carrasquedo who came out on top ahead of Lorenzo Castillo. Everett Stack, though, was unsurpassable, managing to pull off an exquisite race and eventually finding his way through the course of the final corners. He would taste victory for the first time in this 2026 campaign. The Virginian, his best was second on 3 separate occasions, but the checkered flag going his way, and he saluted the motor park crew. A victory that certainly means he will sit second in the championship. The gap, though, however, remaining at 65 points. Diego Della Torre dropping down to third, and indeed the Venezuelan flag on show for Alessandro Famolaro. Raw emotion after the unfortunate disaster with the earthquakes in Venezuela, and many losses were felt, but Famolaro showing his passion for his country. Everett Stack will stand alongside him. Javier Herrera will stand on the podium, winning rookie, and it's Rui Hengye in second. We will, of course, observe the American national anthem here and now. So it is the Virginian who stands in P1 for the first time this campaign. More to follow, he will hope. Obviously, we still have 2 races to bring you folks. Reverse grid situations from reverse race for race 2, reverse quali. And immediately pointing to the sky is Alessandro Famolaro receiving the 3rd place trophy. 2nd place going to Rui Hengye. Knows that he would have wanted more. The winner, though, it's been long awaited. Everett Stack will lift it aloft. We'll be hoping there's more to come. Javier Herrera looking somewhat dejected on the far right-hand side. Obviously clearly not happy with how his race panned out. Motorpark celebrating the winning team's trophy, Chris. Herrera coming back for more. It looks like that Famolaro is just offering him words of comfort, I think, at this point.
Yeah, well, a very dejected Javier there, but yeah, an arm around the shoulder from his slightly older, maybe slightly wiser teammates as they pose for the photographs. Certainly a couple of very happy drivers there, but some not so. but they've got 2 more races this weekend to sort that out.
They certainly do, and indeed we will be back for racing action tomorrow, folks, but do join us then. From all of us here, though, however, it's goodbye.
So this is the podium of the Euroformula.